Which of the following fundamental right can be suspended during the period of proclamation of emergency? Cannot be suspended. Protection of life and personal liberty under Article 21. The Supreme Court of India has traced the right of privacy in Article 21. Right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution not been include right to die has been held in Supreme Court in Gilan Kaur versus State of Punjab. Which of the fundamental right cannot be suspended during the proclamation of national emergency? Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. Which of the following is not included in the right of personal liberty? Freedom of arrest. The golden triangle of Indian Constitution consists of Article 14, 19 and 21. There is no reason to compel non-smoker to be helpless victim of air pollution was held in Murli S. Devra versus Union of India. The protection of the Article 21 extend to the following: all person. In which of the following cases Supreme Court held that mental privacy is a part of Article 21 of the Constitution? Selvi versus State of Karnataka 2010. The interpretation given to Article 21 of the Supreme Court in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India 1978 is naturalist. Supreme Court of India held that right to life include right to enjoy unpolluted air and water was made in one of the following cases: rural litigation and entitlement Kendra, Dehradun versus State of Uttar Pradesh. The word procedure established by law under Article 21 means a law which is reasonable, just, and fair. After this case, Article Article 21 now protect the right of life and personal liberty of citizen, not only the executive action but also from the legislative action. The case is Maneka Gandhi case. The right to life causes not include right to die. It has been held in the case of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. Gilan Kaur versus State of Punjab. The scope of the expression procedural established by law occurred in Article 21 was expanded in the case of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. The protection of life and personal liberty under Article 21 is available to any person. The protection of life and personal liberty is a fundamental right. In which one of the following is the Honorable Supreme Court held that right of life does not include right to die? Gilan Kaur versus State of Punjab 1996. Sentence hearing after conviction of an accused is constitutionally mandated under Article 21. In which one of the following cases it was held by the Supreme Court that Article 21 controlled by Article 90? Mrs. Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India 1978. In which one of the following cases the Supreme Court held that right to sleep is a fundamental right? In Ram Leela Maidan case, Ram Leela Maidan case. The Supreme Court has held that prostitutes are entitled to life of dignity under Article 21 of the Constitution. The statement is true. In which one of the following cases the Supreme Court struck down the Section 66A of Information Technology Act 2000, Shreya Singhal versus Union of India? In which one of the following cases Supreme Court established the relationship between Article 14, 19, 21 of the Constitution? Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. The phrase due process of law means judges of India can question the fairness and validity of undue law if there is the opinion it is unjust in the violation of natural justice. Which fundamental right cannot be suspended even during the emergency under Article 352 of the Constitution? Right of life and personal liberty. Right to clean environment has been elevated to the statute of fundamental right through the interpretation of which one of the following article of the Constitution? Article 21. Which provision of the Constitution spell out right to clean environmental as a fundamental right? Article 21. The following is not included in the right to personal liberty, right to equality of wages. In which one of the following statement is not correct? Right to go abroad is not a fundamental right. Which one of the following is a correct statement? Right to privacy as a fundamental right implicated in right to personal liberty. Which one of the following fundamental right cannot be suspended during the emergency? Right under Article 20 and 21. In which one of the following right cannot be inflated from Article 21 of the Constitution? Right from association. Right to life emanates from Article 21 and does not include right to die. Right of education is a fundamental right emanating from right to life and personal liberty under Article 21. Which one of the following pair is not correctly matched? Right to personal liberty include right to carry on any trade and business. Arrange the following decision of Supreme Court of the fundamental right to personal liberty in correct chronological order. A.K. Gopalan versus State of Maharashtra, A.D.M. Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla, Maneka Gandhi versus Union. Article 20A Right to education to all the children of the age 6 to 14 years has been inserted in the Constitution by the Constitution 86 Amendment Act 2002. Right to education is a fundamental right. In which one of the following amendment Article 20A is inserted? 20A was inserted. 86 Amendment 2002. Right to free and compulsory education to children between the 6 to 14 year of age is provided by which article of the Constitution? Article 20A. Which out of the following is not a right covered by Article 21 of the Constitution? Right to strike. State shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age 6 to 14 years in such a manner as the state may, by law, determine provided in Article 20A. Right to education as a fundamental right was added in the Constitution by which one of the following amendment? 86th. As per Article 20A, the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age of 6 to 14 years. In India, right to education is a fundamental right. Which one of the following amendment of the Acts of Indian Constitution, right to education was made a fundamental right? 86th Amendment. Which provision of the Indian Constitution entitled the right as a which which provision of the Indian Constitution entitled right to of education as a fundamental rights? Article 20A. Article 20A provides the right of education was inserted by Constitution Amendment, the Constitution 86th Amendment 2002. The fundamental right to education introduced in the Constitution of India by 86th Amendment Act. Right to education is provided in Article dash of the Constitution of India 20A. In the Constitution of India, right to education is now guaranteed as a fundamental right under Article 20A. The right of education for all children of all age of 6 to 14 is a fundamental right under Article 20A. A right of free and compulsory education to the children between the 6 to 14 year of age is provided by which article of the Constitution? Article 20A. Which one of the following statement is correct? Right to free and compulsory education to all the children of the age of 6 to 14 year of age is fundamental right enforceable in a court of law. Safeguard against the arrest and detention are provided under which article of the Constitution? Article 22. Every person who is arrested or detained required to produce before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court called Article 22 of the Constitution an ugly provision of the Constitution? A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. Under which one of the following article of the Constitution an accused person has been granted the right to inform of the nature and causes of accusation? Article 22, Clause A. In which one of the following circumstances the preventive detention can be enforced as per Article 22 of the Constitution during normal time? In which the right given under Article 21, Clause 1 and Clause 2 of Article 22 of the Constitution of India is available to a person arrested for offence of rape is not available. An alien enemy, a person detained under the preventive detention law. The law relating to the protection against arrest and detention is primarily contained in which one of the following article of the Constitution? Article 22. Safeguard against the arrest and detention are provided under which article of the Constitution? Article 22. Under Article 22, Clause 4, the Constitution of India, with the exception of the certain provision stated therein, what is the maximum period of the detention of the person under preventive detention measure? 3 months. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court observed that labor taken from prisoner without proper remuneration come within the forced labor? Dina versus Union of India. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court has elaborated issue the guideline of child labor under Article 23 of the Constitution? MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu, Bandhu Mukti Morcha versus Union of India. Article 23 of Constitution does not prohibit compulsory service for public purposes. Prohibition of the trafficking in human being and the forced labor has been provided under Article 23. Which article provided that employment of children is in hazardous factory prohibited under Article 24. No child below the age of dash years shall employed to work in a factory. 14. Prohibition of employment of children below dash year prohibited under Article 24 of the Constitution. Article 14. Article 24 of the Constitution prohibit employment of the children in any factory or mine in the hazardous employment below the age of 14 year. Employment of children below the age of 14 year in any factory, mine or hazardous work is a violation of right of arrest against exploitation. State ban for 2 months holding a religious congregation of the public place on the ground that there is a high risk of spread infectious disease swine flu is valid banned under is the ban valid? The restriction is valid under Article 20 Clause 1 of the Constitution of India. In the case of John Valmetron versus Union of India 2003, Supreme Court held that Section 118 of Indian Succession Act is a violation of the Article 25 and 26. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court held that while guaranteeing the fundamental right to the freedom of religion, explaining second article 25 2b made it clear reference to the Hindu shall be constructed as include the reference to a person professing the Sikh, Jain, Buddhist religion, and the reference of the Hindu religious institution shall be constructed accordingly. Shastri Yajna Pustidas versus Mududas Brudas Vishya. Order of the Election Commission to cover statue of elephant being election symbol of political party during election period does not violate Article 25 of the Constitution. A right of freedom of religion cannot be restricted on the ground of security of state. According to Clause 1 of the Article 25 of Indian Constitution, freedom of religion is subject to the interest of public order, morality, health. Article 25 of the Constitution granted freedom of religion, but it is subject to public order, morality, health, and other fundamental rights. 4 answers are given against each of the following questions. One of them is correct. Choose correct answer. Article 25 of the Constitution of India concerned with right of freedom of the religion. Religious freedom granted in the Indian Constitution is subject to public order, morality, and other fundamental rights, which is the leading case on freedom of religion. Bobby Art International versus OPS Hoon. Right to freedom of religion granted under Article 25 of the Constitution of India is subject to which one of the following cases? Public order, morality, health, and other provision of the part of the Constitution of India. A right to freedom of religion cannot be restricted on the ground of security of state. Under the Indian Constitution, which one of the following is not a specific ground on which the state places restriction of the freedom of the religion? Social justice. Which one of the following has been permissible restriction under Article 25 and 26 of the Constitution of India? Visiting the religious activity of Jagannath Temple of the Act in the committee. Dying a Muslim, the right of run to Aligarh Muslim University, imposing ban on the loudspeaker for Azan and Kirtan. Under the Indian Constitution, what is not included in the freedom to manage religious affairs? To construct the religious palace in the government land. No religious instruction shall be provided in the educational institution wholly maintained out of the state fund. It is the constitution provision under Article 28 Clause 1. Right to education is a fundamental right emanating from the right of life and personal liberty under Article 21. Article 29 Clause 2 of the Constitution provided that no citizen shall be denied of the admission into the educational institution maintained by the state receiving aid out of the state fund on the ground only if religion, race, caste, language, any of them. Article 30 guarantee the right to the minority for establishing educational institution of their choice. Article 30 Clause 2 of Constitution lays down there cannot be discrimination in giving aid of the educational institution on the ground of institution being managed by religious and linguistic minority. According to Article 30, minorities have been right to administer the education institution which has been established by them only. Right to establish administered education institution granted a minority based on religion or language. Article 30 of Constitution give a right to establishment and administered education institution of their choice of all minority whether based on religion or language. Which article of the Constitution provide benefit to the minority institution? Article 30.
Article 30 of the Article 30 of the Constitution of India confer right of all minority to establish educational institution. Fundamental rights of the minority in education matter. Minority has the right to establish and administer the educational institution. Reasonable restriction may be imposed to promote efficiency, prevent maladministration. In which one of the following states of India is the Article 31 of the Constitution applicable, even after it was deleted by 44th Amendment Act, Jammu and Kashmir? Article 31 of the Constitution of India dealing with the right of the property was repealed with the Constitution Amendment 44th Amendment 1978. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Article 31A acquisition of estate. Which one of the following statement regarding the nature and characteristic of protecting provided by Article 31B of the Constitution of India to the law added by 9th schedule is incorrect? Article 31B confer a blanket protection on the laws including the 9th schedule of the Constitution Amendment. The conclusive part of Article 31C, that is, and no law contained in declaration that it is for giving effect to such policy, shall be called in the question in any correct on the ground that it does not give effect of such policy, was struck down by the Supreme Court in the case of Keswan and Bharati versus State of Kerala. In which one of the following cases where the provision of the Constitution 42nd Amendment Act, which gave preceding to all the directive principle of state policy over the fundamental right, invalidated by the Supreme Court? Minerva Miles versus Union of India. The amendment in the Article 31C, which gave precedence to all directive principle of state policy over fundamental rights, was declared ultra vires and void. In which one of the following cases? Minerva Miles versus Union of India. After the judgment of the Supreme Court in Minerva Miles Limited versus Union of India, The provision of Article 31C means directive principle contained in Article 39B and C superseded the fundamental rights. In Mineral Miles versus Union of India, Article 31C, as amended by Constitution 42nd Amendment Act 1976, held invalid. The amendment of the Article 31C destroyed the basic structure of the Constitution. What writ can be issued for illegal detention? Writ of habeas corpus. In which one of the following cases did Supreme Court rule that principle of sovereign immunity was not applicable to the proceeding for award and compensation for the violation of fundamental right? Nalabati Behra versus State of Orissa.
Which one of the following statement is not correct? Writ of certiorari lies against the private domestic tribunal is not correct. Which one is correct? Writ of certiorari and prohibition lie against inferior court of law and tribunal. Writ of certiorari and prohibition lie against the public authority which is required to act fairly. Writ of certiorari and prohibition lie against any authority which violate the principle of natural justice provided that it has a duty to act fairly. Which one of the following protect the personal freedom? Habeas corpus. The writ of habeas corpus means to produce the body of the person illegally detained before the court. The writ of certiorari can be issued against any quasi-judicial or judicial authority. Writ of quo warranto is related to illegal holder of public office. When the writ is issued to an inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding its jurisdiction, the acting contrary to the law of natural justice, it is called the writ of certiorari. Writ of mandamus can be issued against any person and authority. By parliamentary legislation, the district court were empowered to enforce the fundamental right of the citizen in service matter. The legislation is valid. Which one of the following is correctly described the provision of Article 32 of the Constitution of India? Right to approach Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Fundamental Right. An order or decision which suffer from the error of law apparent the face of record can be quashed the writ of certiorari. The principle of res judicata does not apply to the case of habeas corpus. The right of constitutional remedy in India is available to all people enforcing any of the fundamental right conferred on them. The command asking the public authority to perform its public duty, is called a writ of mandamus. Which one of the following writ literally means to you may have the body, habeas corpus? Which among the following writ it literally means what is your authority, quo warranto? Which one of the following is not a writ mentioned in the Constitution? Interrogatory. Habeas corpus literally means produce the body. When a writ is issued to inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding its jurisdiction or acting contrarily to the law of natural justice, it is called the writ of certiorari. If the writ petition under Article 226 in the Constitution is dismissed on merit, but because of laches of the party applying for the writ, or because it was held that party has been alternate remedy available to it, the dismissal of writ petition under Article 226 would not constitute a bar to the subsequent petition under Article 32. The principle was laid down by the Supreme Court in the case of Darayo versus State of UP. Public interest litigation is filed in High Court and Supreme Court. In which one of the following cases compensation was first time awarded by the violation of Supreme Court for the violation of fundamental Rudl Shah versus State of Bihar. How many type of writ can Supreme Court issue for enforcement of fundamental right? 5. The petition to the Supreme Court under Article 32 subject to the rule of res judicata except the writ of habeas corpus. The person associated with the PIL is Justice Bhagwati. In which one of the following decision of Supreme Court of India, a bench a seven judge bench explained the concept of public interest litigation in SP Gupta versus Union of India. One of the remedy for false imprisonment is habeas corpus. Issuance of writ of mandamus related to non-performance of public duty. When a writ is issued to inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding the jurisdiction, acting the violation of rule of natural justice, it is called the writ of certiorari. Dash is the heart and soul of the Constitution, right of constitutional remedies. Which one of the following pairs is correctly matched? Writ of habeas corpus available against the private and individual as well as. Which one of the following writ may be issued in the case of public servant ultra vires authority? Which one of the following writ may be issued in the case of public servant ultra vires authority? Writ of quo warranto. The public interest litigation are entertained by Supreme Court under Article 32. Assertion. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described Article 32 as very soul of the Constitution. Article 32 provides effective remedy against the violation of fundamental rights. Both A and B are true, and A is correct explanation of B. Can fundamental right under Indian Constitution can be waived by a person? Fundamental right cannot be waived. Which writ can be issued when appointment is contrary to the statutory provision? Quo warranto. Which of the following writ is not amendable by the principle of res judicata? Habeas corpus. Which one of the following writ can be sought by the issue to quash unconstitutional appointment of the public officer? Quo warranto. Writ of habeas corpus means to procure the body of the person illegally detained before the court. When the writ is issued to inferior court or tribunal on the ground of the exceeding its jurisdiction or acting contrary to the rule of natural justice, it is called a writ of certiorari. The appropriate writ for issuing by the court to quash the appointment of the person or a public officer is that writ of quo warranto. The right to move to the Supreme Court of India for the enforcement of fundamental right is guaranteed under Article 32. Mandamus is issued to compel the performance of duty of the public nature. Why is the writ of mandamus is issued? To direct public authority to perform its public duty. Which one of the following is a fundamental right as described by B.R. Ambedkar as the heart and soul of the Constitution? Right of constitutional remedy. Writ can be issued only against the judicial and quasi-judicial authorities known as certiorari. Parliament pass an act and empower a court of the district level to enforce fundamental right of the citizen of the service matter. The act is valid. Which one of the following statement with regard to the constitution is incorrect? The principle of res judicata is applicable to all writ petition under Article 32. The writ of mandamus can be issued against any person or authority. In which one of the following cases did Supreme Court rule that principle of sovereign immunity will not apply to the proceeding for award of compensation and violation of fundamental right? Neelabati Behra versus State of Orissa. Which one of the following observations was not made by the court through J.S. Verma in Neelavati Behra versus State of Orissa 1993, Supreme Court 1960? The doctrine of sovereign immunity is not applicable in the case of violation of fundamental right. A right of constitutional remedy is given under Article 32. When the writ is issued to inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding the jurisdiction of acting contrary to the rule of natural justice, it is called the writ of certiorari. Which one of the following is a fundamental right was described by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the heart and soul of the Constitution? Right of constitutional remedy. The fundamental right granted by Part 3 of the Constitution of India cannot be waived by a citizen was held by the Supreme Court of India in which of the following cases? Baswar versus CIT AIN 1959. Which one among the following of the writ would be issued to release a person from illegal detention? Habeas corpus. Who referred the Article 32 as the heart and soul of the Constitution? Dr. Ambedkar. Right to enforce which article of the Constitution cannot be suspended during emergency? Article 20 and 21. In which one of the following case Supreme Court ruled that defense of sovereign immunity is aligned to the concept of granted under fundamental right? Neelabati Behra versus State of Orissa 1993. Which, when a writ is issued to the inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding the jurisdiction or acting contrary to the rule of natural justice, it is called the writ of certiorari. Which one of the following writ may the Supreme Court issue to inquiry into legality or a claim of person arrested to the public officer and to remove such person from the public officer if the claim was not founded? Writ of quo warranto. Which one of the following statement is correct? Fundamental right cannot be waived by the citizen of India. Right to enforce which article of the Constitution cannot be suspended during the emergency? Article 20 and 21. Which one of the following writ is literally means what is your authority? Quo warranto. The system of public interest litigation has been introduced in the Constitution through judicial initiative. initiative. On which one of the following ground may writ of certiorari can be issued? When the inferior tribunal act in the contravention of the rule of natural justice. The royal command of the court for enforcement of fundamental right is called writ. A and B were the candidate of post of professor in the university. B is selected. A challenged the selection for the appointment. The writ should be pray for quo warranto. Which one of the following is known as habeas corpus case? ADM Jabalpur versus Shukla. The writ of habeas corpus is issued by in the form of an order calling upon the person who has detained another person to bring that person before the court to show authority of the detention. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Writ of habeas corpus available to against private and individual as well as. Which one of the following fundamental right was described by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is the heart and soul of Constitution? Right to constitutional remedies. The Supreme Court can be moved under Article 32 a Constitution of India for enforcement of fundamental right. Epistolary jurisdiction of Supreme Court deals with latent petition. Which one of the following statement is correct? No person can waive his fundamental right under Indian Constitution as they were sacrosanct and no individual can tinker with them. In which one of the following cases did Supreme Court of India give ruling that sovereignty immunity of the state is subject to the fundamental right? People Union versus Democratic. People Union for Democratic versus State of Bihar. By the parliamentary legislation, the district court were empowered to enforce the fundamental right of the citizen in the service matter of the legislation is valid. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Writ of cessation lies against the private domestic tribunal. Which article provided the right of constitutional remedy? Article 32. What writ can be issued for illegal detention? Writ of habeas corpus. In which case the Supreme Court issued the writ containing the mandamus? Vinit Narayan versus Union of India. A wrongful assumption of the public office can be corrected by the writ of quo warranto. A public spirited citizens send letter to the Chief Justice of India compelling that large number of workers employed in the factory are not being provided for the minimum wages and basic amenities required to be provided under Factory Act 1948. Can the letter stated as writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution of India? Yes, because the poor person is being exposed and there is no ulterior motive of the writing the letter. An order or decision which suffer from the error to the law apparent the face of record to requires a writ of certiorari. Lack of locus standi in generally is not a bar of association in the writ of quo warranto. Law of preventive detention can provided for the detention of any person in at any time during the peace of war, irrespective of the fact whether proclamation of energy has or has not been made. Refusal to issue a writ of habeas corpus under Article 226 does not bar the remedy of similar writ under Article 32. The rule of res judicata is not applicable to the writ of habeas corpus. Habeas corpus. Custody of a child by the parent. Mandamus. Refund of money illegally collected of the money illegally collected has ceased to be taxing authority. Quo warranto. Appointment of a university teacher. Certiorari. Violation of natural justice. Mandamus is available not only against the judicial authority but also the administrative authority. The writ of prohibition as well as certiorari is issued only against the judicial and quasi-judicial authority. A writ petition of habeas corpus, one dismissed by the High Court on merit, can still be entertained by the Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Constitution. The principle of res judicata does not apply to the writ of habeas corpus. If public interest litigation is filed on the subject which was subject on the matter, the earliest writ petition. The writ of mandamus can be issued in which one of the following case: to the employer against the non-payment of minimum wages to some employees. Which one of the following is correct statement? The writ of certiorari cannot be issued to quash non-speaking order passed by the quasi-judicial body. Can be issued for an order suffering from failure of exercise of jurisdiction, an order based on the insufficient evidence, an order suffering from non-compliances with the prescribed procedure. Writ of mandamus would be issued where there is a failure to perform mandatory duty. Habeas corpus, unlawful arrest and detention. Mandamus, non-performance of public duty. Quo warranto, office not entitled to hold. Certiorari, violation of natural justice. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Which one is correct? A retired judge of the Supreme Court is prohibited from appearing and pleading in any court within the territory of India. Supreme Court has power to punish any person for contempt. Salary of the judges of the Supreme Court is subject to the vote of the legislation. Which one of the following statements refer to apostrophe jurisdiction of the Supreme Court? Taking cognizance of the public interest litigation matter through the letter addressed to the court. Which one of the following writ can be issued only against the judicial and quasi-judicial authority? Certiorari. The appropriate writ issued by the court to quash the appointment of the person of public officer is that of quo warranto. When the writ is issued to an inferior court or tribunal on the ground of exceeding its jurisdiction or acting contrary to the law of natural justice, which writ can be issued? Certiorari. Which one of the following combination is not correctly matched? Which one is correctly matched? Writ of habeas corpus available to against private and public individual. Inappropriate for the petitioner in the public interest litigation to withdrawal proceeding as a right and the future to claim that they shall be not to be continued. A person whose petition for the habeas corpus has refused by the High Court on merit, seeking to move to the Supreme Court by an original petition. According to the Constitution Law of India, he can approach to the Supreme Court only by the way of appeal, not by the original petition. Which one of the following is correctly describe the nature of the writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution of India? An original petition for the writ under Article 32 cannot take place of an appeal against the order passed by the High Court in the petition under Article 226. Which one of the following statement respect to PIL is correct? any public stipulate person can seek the remedy. All as far as armed force are concerned with the fundamental right granted under Article 14 and 19 of the Constitution are available only according to the law made by the Parliament, which statement is incorrect. Punishment can be prescribed by law made by the appropriate legislature of an offence under Part 3 of the Constitution of India, which provision of the Constitution of India confer exclusive power on the Parliament to make law prescribing the punishment of the act declared offence under the Part 3, Article 33. Freedom of assembly, Article 19, Clause 3. Freedom of professional trade and occupation, Article 19, Clause 6. Freedom of speech, Article 19, Clause 2. Freedom of association, Article 19, Clause 4. Which one of the following is merely a constitutional right, not a fundamental right? Right to property. Right to property as a fundamental right was removed by which one of the following constitutional amendment? 44th. The fundamental right in England given to the citizen by the Convention of the Constitution. No person has a fundamental right to approach to the High Court for enforcing of the fundamental right. Who can impose reasonable restriction on the fundamental rights? Parliament. It is used for fundamental right but now a legal right only. Right to property. Which constitutional right is not a fundamental right? Right to property. Fundamental rights are contained in which part of the Constitution of India? Part 3. Which right of the Constitution? Right but not a fundamental right. Right to hold property. Right of the property of India is statutory right. Which one of the following amendment accorded the precedency of directive principle over a fundamental right? Article 42. Right to property was dropped in the list of fundamental rights is 44th Amendment. The protection and improvement of the environment, including the forest and wildlife of the country, is both directive principle and the fundamental duties. Which part of the Constitution of India deal with the fundamental right? Part 3. Which among the following is not a fundamental right? Equal justice and free legal aid. Which one of the following is incorrect about the fundamental right? Which one is correct? All fundamental rights are justiciable. International human laws played important role broadening the concept of fundamental right in India. How many articles came into the force on the date of adoption of the Constitution? 16. Under which article of the Constitution right to given therein is available to only citizen of the country? Article 15, 16, 19 and 29. In the landmark judgment of NALSA, National Legal Service Authority versus Union of India, Supreme Court, while declaring transgender people as a third gender, observe in all of the above. The Constitution of India will equally applicable to transgender people. The right of self-identification, their gender as a male and female and third gender reservation is to be given on the admission and education institution and job. In Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan, Supreme Court widened the ambiguity of basic feature of the Constitution include within the purview of Rule of law, judicial review, democracy as implied by the free fair election. In which one of the following cases right of education was held to concomitant as a fundamental right enshrined under Part 3 of the Constitution? Mohini Jain versus State of Karnataka. The test direct inevitable effect is used to determine infringement of the fundamental right. Article 19 gets suspended automatically on the proclamation of emergency if the ground of proclamation is wire and external aggression. Which of the following is not a fundamental right? Right of free legal aid to the all citizen. Which one of the following constitutional amendment was made to nullify the decision of Supreme Court in the Mandal case? The Constitution 77 Amendment Act, the Constitution 81st Amendment Act. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Article 31A Acquisition of the estate. Which is with regard to the fundamental right, which one of the following is not correct? The fundamental rights are subject to the parliamentary legislation based passed to be given effect to the directive principle of state policy. The definition of the Act under Article 12 of the Constitution apply to Part 3 and Part 4 of the Constitution. The state shall endeavour to provide early childhood care of the education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. It is a fundamental duty of every citizen who is the parent or guardian to provide opportunity for education to his child, as the case may be varied between age of 6 to 14 years. The state shall provide a free compulsory education to all children up to the age of 14 years. Fundamental right under the Constitution of India comprise of which of the following? Individual right, group of right. Match the following. Reservation in the unaided private college. PA Imandar versus State of Maharashtra. 27% reservation for OBC in government colleges. Indra Sohani versus Union of India. Constitutional validity of law including the 9th schedule. IR Celio versus State of Tamil Nadu. Which one of the following mentioned under separate article Part 3 of the Constitution of India pretending to the fundamental right? Abolition of untouchability, abolition of title, freedom of the payment of taxes for the promotion of particular reason, protection of interest and minorities. Which one of the following article of the Constitution of India is exception to the fundamental right enumerated by Article 14 and 19? Article 31 and 31C both match. Article 20 Clause 1 Retrospective operation of criminal law. Article 30 Clause 2 Administration of minority education institution. Article 16 Clause 1 Equal opportunity of state employment. Article 15 Clause 1 Protection against discrimination.